1.36 million missing, Xiongan is empty. Is Xi Jinping's Millennium Plan a mistake? China's young generation on the brink, living like rats amid joblessness and despair. Bankruptcy wave begins. Five-star hotels crumble amid China's economic winter. Once hailed as China's city of the future, Xiongan was handpicked by Xi Jinping to become a glowing symbol of national rejuvenation. Now, the streets are silent, the shops are empty, and a promised tech utopia looks more like a high-end ghost town. This is Xiongan, specifically the Zhongguancun Science Park. At first glance, you might mistake it for a futuristic city in the making, but look closer. The streets are empty, buildings stand tall but lifeless, not a soul in sight, even in the middle of the road. At Peking University People's Hospital's Xiongan campus, construction began last November. Nearly a year later, all that's visible are two massive pits in the ground. No structural work, no pillars. It's unclear what stalled progress. Across the district, once promising areas are eerily deserted. One might wonder why anyone would open a shop here, a porridge stall or a steamed bun shop, when there are no customers. Launched on April 1, 2017, Xiongan New Area was envisioned as a satellite city to offload Beijing's non-capital functions. President Xi Jinping personally championed it as a Millennium Plan, promising to transform Xiongan into the next Shenzhen or Pudong. At Xiongan Railway Station, the picture is just as bleak. The Grand Station, designed to handle high volumes of traffic, sits nearly empty. The underground entry is closed. The bus drop-off area has no passengers. Signs point to various entrances, but few travelers pass through. Security remains tight, but for what? Officially, Xiongan is home to 1.36 million people as of 2024. So, where is everyone? We visited 4 major universities slated for relocation to Xiongan. First, the Xiongan campus of Beijing Forestry University, still a fenced-in lot, overgrown with weeds. No signs of construction, only a lone sanitation worker tidying the site. Next, Beijing University of Science and Technologies campus. Same story, no activity, just display boards, showing what the campus might look like one day. At the China University of Geosciences, there's at least some movement. Security guards are posted, the road has been paved, and early-stage construction is underway. Guards mentioned a completion target of 2027. Lastly, the Beijing Jiaotong University Xiongan campus. Construction has clearly started, with visible progress and security on site. Renting a place in Xiongan, it's surprisingly cheap. And no, it's not due to great bargaining skills. It's simple economics. There are more homes than people. Many residents who were relocated now own multiple properties. But with only a handful of state-owned and central enterprises having moved in, vacancy remains high. Government-subsidized talent apartments offer even lower rents, undercutting the market and forcing landlords to drop prices just to attract tenants. Now let's look at Xiongan Outlets, a sprawling, beautifully constructed shopping mall. On the basement level, barely anyone shops. The first floor, deserted. Second floor, sparse. Third floor, same story. Why? Because the Rongdong residential area nearby still has low occupancy. And most state-owned companies haven't fully relocated. For many, the mall's location is simply too remote to bother visiting. Finding work here is just as difficult. One recent graduate moved to Xiongan, lured by the city's futuristic promise online. He spent 1,000 yuan on rent, hoping to quickly land a job, but most listings were for cleaners, sales assistants, or highly competitive civil service positions requiring advanced degrees. The job market appears polarized, either low-skill service roles or high-barrier government positions. The middle ground seems to have vanished. Frustrated and exhausted, the graduate considered returning to his hometown or preparing for graduate school or the civil service exam. Who's getting the good jobs in Xiongan? He asked. It's a question many are now starting to ask. Once envisioned as China's Silicon Valley of the North, Xiongan was supposed to be a beacon of innovation and decentralization. Instead, it now stands as a cautionary tale of over-ambition, poor planning, and a widening gap between vision and reality. As the cranes slow and silence grows, one can only ask, is Xiongan China's city of the future, or a monument to a dream deferred? In a nation once praised for its economic miracle, a darker reality is emerging. China's young generation, educated, ambitious, and digitally connected, is collapsing under the weight of joblessness, low wages, and a future that feels increasingly out of reach. They're not living, they're surviving. For China's youth, 2025 feels like hell mode, an epic difficulty setting for survival. This year alone, over 13 million students sat for the college entrance exam, while 12 million more are graduating from university. But with widespread layoffs in tech and a weakening economy across sectors, good jobs are vanishing fast. AI and big data are buzzwords, but realistically out of reach for most. As one noted, unless you become a mechanic, even new energy is not an option for the average young person. Today, I want to vent about current wages. In big cities, salaries hover around 5,000 to 6,000 yuan. In smaller cities, it's 3,000 to 4,000. After Social Security deductions, it's just enough to scrape by. People seem busy every day, but in reality, we're just going in circles. Across China, young people are living paycheck to paycheck, with little to no savings. No matter where they live, the result is the same: rising costs, stagnant wages, and a growing sense of hopelessness. Many young workers in China's major cities report that over half their salary goes to rent. What's left barely covers food and transit. They squeeze into packed subways, buy cheap lunchboxes, and collapse in tiny, overpriced rentals. By the end of the month, even buying skincare products can feel like a luxury, let alone taking a trip or eating out. Yet moving home to smaller counties offers no real escape. Rent may be cheaper, but utilities and daily costs add up. The result is the same: just enough to survive, and nothing to save. One frustrated blogger summed it up bluntly. Brothers can't take it anymore. He's running all over the place now. I don't know if you can stand it, but I can't. In Nanning, another netizen commented, "The unemployment rate here is so high. People are working for just 3,000 to 4,000 yuan a month, and not just students. Everyone is just trying to survive." Worse still is the mood that hangs over society. One of collective anxiety. This year's pressure is unmatched. I've seen 10 short videos in a row, graduate students either working for 2,000 yuan or still jobless. I've spent over a decade studying. Was it all just for 2,000 yuan? Even top-tier grads are struggling. We're either working, job hunting, or terrified of being laid off. And in June, nearly 10 million new graduates will enter a saturated market. But there simply aren't 10 million companies or opportunities to absorb them. Oversupply has choked the job market. From Beijing to Shanghai, from Xi'an to Hangzhou, young people are either unemployed, scammed by rental agents, or trapped in low-wage work. The system feels rigged, and for many, hopeless. Observers say that while China's economy has transformed over the past 20 years, the emotional climate among its youth has flipped, from hopeful to grim. Many are now choosing to downgrade in lifestyle as a form of survival. With a monthly salary of 2,500 yuan, I live on 100 yuan a month. Today I made loofah soup for 1.9 yuan. Once I found a job, I became a cooking master. Since I can't earn, I'll save. Stir-fried loofah with a 60-cent egg. I even feel bad about using 30 cents of corn. I was proud of my meal. I showed it off. Takeout orders are down. White-collar workers now bring homemade lunches. On social media, nobody's talking about salary hikes or trips abroad. Instead, they joke, "Don't invite me to anything that costs over 5 yuan." The new motto: keep your head down and don't risk losing what little stability you have. Shopping malls reflect this retreat. Once bustling centers like Nanping, Beicheng Tianjie, and Xinguang Tiandi are now eerily quiet. Stores are closing. Foot traffic is vanishing. Look at the brands today. None of them target young people anymore. It's all middle-aged consumers. Only they still have some disposable income. Even business owners admit a harsh truth. Today's youth are no longer a viable market. Not because they're unwilling, but because they simply don't have the means. This isn't frugality, it's survival. And middle-aged workers are struggling too. The job market is brutal. 5 years ago, companies stopped hiring people over 45. 3 years ago, over 35. Now, companies are gone altogether. What are the middle-aged doing? First, they tried starting businesses and lost everything. Then, they turned to intense sports until their health failed. Now they're taking on security, cleaning, or nanny jobs just to get by. And so, caught in this cycle, you remember better days, but endure today just to open and close your eyes until life quietly slips away. For millions of young Chinese, the dream has turned into disillusionment. Behind the headlines of progress lies a silent crisis, one of fading hope, lost potential, and lives quietly unraveling. In the end, it's not just an economic slowdown, it's a generational breakdown, and it may define China's future more than any statistic ever could. In recent years, China's economy has continued to falter. Consumer spending is down, and five-star hotels, once symbols of prosperity, are now shutting their doors in alarming numbers. Once glorious landmarks are being sold off, auctioned, or left abandoned, some at rock-bottom prices that still fail to attract buyers. In Dongguan, Guangdong Province, several luxury hotels have gone dark. The Deepening International Hotel closed in 2021. Kaijing Hotel shut its doors in 2020. Prince Hotel closed in 2014. Xindongtai in 2009. Overseas Chinese Hotel hasn't seen guests since 2005. What you're looking at is the only five-star hotel in Dalingshan town, Deepening International, left abandoned for 2 years. Drone footage reveals excavators tearing down what was once a lavishly decorated hotspot. It's a sobering scene, watching the Grand be demolished. With the global economy under pressure, more hotels are quietly vanishing. In Huizhou's Shuangyue Bay, even the massive Wyndham Grand Resort has closed. A quick map search now shows the hotel can't be booked, no services available. For many, it's hard to believe a resort of that scale simply disappeared. On March 20th, Wealth Freedom published a revealing piece titled "China's Five-Star Hotels Are Closing Down." According to China's Ministry of Culture and Tourism, the number of five-star hotels fell from 850 in 2020 to just 736 by the third quarter of 2024, a drop of 114 in 5 years. In just February and March 2024, 58 hotel projects were auctioned off. Among the luxury properties listed for sale in 2023, Bulgari Hotel Shanghai, Sheraton Shanghai, Fairmont Nanjing, the Westin in Chongqing, Ningbo Yuanzhou Hotel, and the Beijing Jinmao Westin, which once hosted a U.S. president. In December 2023 alone, the Ritz-Carlton, Intercontinental Sanya, and Photosynthesis Valley Hot Spring in Tianjin were sold off due to bad debt transfers at a combined price of 2 billion RMB. Throughout 2023, 124 luxury hotels were auctioned for over 100 million renminbi each. Many remained unsold. In 2024, closures only accelerated. So, what's driving this collapse? Much of it ties back to China's real estate sector. Behind many five-star hotels are property developers. In the early 1980s, during China's economic opening, high-end business travel surged. Hong Kong tycoon Henry Fok built the White Swan Hotel in Guangzhou in 1983, the country's first five-star hotel, which posted a net profit of 12.82 million renminbi in its first year. The success sparked a hotel boom. From under 100 five-star hotels 2 decades ago, China saw that number surpass 800 by 2017. Two forces drove this boom. First, five-star hotels boosted land value and helped attract investment, prompting local governments to bundle hotel construction with land sales. If a developer wanted to build housing, they had to also build a hotel. Second, developers adopted the real estate plus hotel model. When housing commercialization expanded in 2000, developers prioritized land acquisition. Building a hotel was a requirement, but also a status symbol that elevated surrounding property prices. One striking example is Evergrande's 3 billion yuan unfinished luxury resort deep in Guangdong's mountains. Built after hollowing out a hillside, the star-rated leisure hotel was left abandoned and overrun by weeds before completion. Today, it's unclear if construction will ever resume. Rampant expansion also played a role, especially through high-stakes acquisitions. On the afternoon of July 19, 2017, the three real estate giants, Wanda, Sunac, and R&F, closed a landmark deal at the Wanda Sofitel in Beijing. R&F bought 77 luxury hotels from Wanda, worth 33.6 billion renminbi, for just 19.9 billion renminbi. It became the largest luxury hotel owner globally, with over 90 hotels, including brands like Marriott, Hilton, and Ritz-Carlton. But the aggressive move shattered R&F's finances. Losses ballooned from RMB 100 to 200 million a year before 2017 to RMB 1.53 billion in 2022. And this wasn't unique. China's five-star hotels delivered poor returns across the board, averaging just 0.3% to 4% annually from 2010 to 2018. Lower than mid-range hotels. R&F was forced to offload hotels to recover funds. By 2024, 68 of its hotels were liquidated and snapped up at low prices by Singapore's Temasek, a creditor. Beyond mismanagement, another key issue was oversupply. Many of these luxury properties were built without real market demand. Data from the Ministry of Culture and Tourism showed that in the third quarter of 2024, the average room price for a five-star hotel was 599 renminbi. In Shanghai, even with that rate, occupancy was low. Beijing fared no better, with 3.93 million five-star hotel guests in the first 10 months of 2024, down 1.33 million from 2018. As China's economic downturn deepens and foreign investors pull back, many five-star hotels are being forced to adapt, and fast. Some are slashing prices. In Sanya, the Marriott now offers 2-night stays with breakfast for just 1,188 renminbi. Hilton Longhua in Shenzhen dropped its buffet price from over 200 renminbi to just 79 renminbi. A deal netizens jokingly call the poor man's gourmet meal. Others are converting properties into long-term rentals. For instance, Bulgari in Shanghai is transforming luxury hotel rooms into apartments to stay afloat. The collapse of China's hotel boom is a cautionary tale, one where ambition outpaced reality, and now silence echoes through once bustling lobbies.